All right, it's time for our first episode ever of Bad Movies Rule. Welcome to the podcast. I'm your host, James Hauser, along here with my two co-hosts. This is Bob Hauser. Say hi, Bob.
Hello. How you guys doing today?
And we have the same last name because we are, in fact, brothers. And then we're here with our brother from another mother, Clint Bush. How you doing, Clint?
I'm doing great. How about you guys?
Doing wonderful, man.
Doing awesome. And today, yeah, it's called Bad Movies, but not bad in the sense that they're bad, but bad in the sense that they're awesome. Maybe considered bad by people, but we are going to celebrate them here. And so today, we're going back to 1994. Do you want to go home, or do you want to go on this podcast journey with me? We're doing Street Fighter 1994. Let's go. All right, guys. Well, this is exciting. We're finally here. We're finally going to talk about some of our favorite bad movies. And why did you want to start with this one? We'll say, Bob, you were the one that picked Street Fighter. Why are we going this way first?
If you want to start with a bad movie, why not start with one of the greatest bad movies ever made? And that would be Street Fighter from 1994.
That's right. It came out in 1994, and it was directed.
How old were you, Bob? 1994.
How old was I? I was 6.
So, yeah.
Yeah, 6.
Yeah.
I saw it at the Antioch Theater.
Because it's the first movie he can remember. That's why we started with this one.
No, I remember Maverick from that.
Top
earlier.
Gun.
Was this a touch point for you?
I was not alive at Top Gun.
No, Top Gun.
No, I'm saying that was the first one I ever saw in the theater.
That's when we were 6 years old.
Right.
So you guys are so Top Gun for you, Street Fighter for me.
Yeah, I don't know if that's necessarily equal footing, but we can go with that. Yeah,
Right.
Sure. Yeah, so anyway, this movie was directed by Steven de Souza, right, who was the probably best well-known for writing Die Hard. Yep. So talk about a peak there in a career. You wrote the greatest action movie maybe of all time, and then 10 years later, not even 10 years later, 6 years later, that was 88, right?
Yeah.
6 years later, you're writing and directing Street Fighter. Now, listen to this run. This was all 1994 for Steven de Souza.
Oh, God.
Flintstones, live action, Beverly Hills Cop 3, and Street Fighter. Has anybody ever done a better trifecta in a single year?
Well, I can say one thing.
That is quite an eclectic collection of talent he got to work with there, too.
Right.
Eddie Murphy, John Goodman, Rick Moranis, Van-Damme, and Raul Julia.
Right. He made a movie that wasn't as good as the cartoon, the worst Beverly Hills Cop movie, the one that essentially ended the franchise, and then Street Fighter. So it's a pretty great year for him.
Well, they were all successful financially.
Well, yeah, I mean, we can talk about that separately, but
yeah, as for pieces of product, they were absolute dumpster fires.
Our real issue, though, is look back at any of the movies that you remember fondly from the time frame, and you watch them again now, and they just don't play as good. Some of them, the story is fantastic, the acting is still good, but as far as quality of movie out there, I mean, we've all become accustomed to nonstop action, starts from the get-go and goes all the way. There's no character building. There's no plot development. It just, here's our movie.
No, I think some of it is just the age that you were when you saw certain things.
And it was amazing, and now...
Well, let's dive into Street Fighter here.
Yes.
What I want to see is if we can, let's say no one has ever seen Street Fighter, and you had to recap what the plot of the movie was in a short amount of time. Is it possible to coherently recap the plot of this movie? Can we take a crack at it? Essentially, it's a warlord in Shadaloo, which you can help me. I don't know where Shadaloo is supposed to be. I know they shot in Thailand, but I don't know if it's ever said where in the world Shadaloo is.
No.
But he is...
Shadaloo, Southeast Asia. That's all they say.
Yeah, I would say just generally by the local population that was in the village and stuff like that, probably.
Right. So a warlord takes people hostage in order to force we'll say the United Nations, even though they couldn't use the UN, they're the AN, so that the United Nations would pay a ransom so that he could use that money to
build a utopia of his own.
To build a utopia and chemically engineered
super
soldiers to do what with exactly?
To take over the world.
So that everybody would love him because he is the great protector.
Meanwhile, 2 gun runners fall afoul of local gangsters who also get sucked in to work with this warlord.
They're selling Sagat weapons.
Right.
They were selling Nerf weapons.
Nerf guns.
Yes.
Yeah.
I forgot the
Disguised
comedy.
as.
I forgot how much comedy is in this movie.
Yeah, it was pretty good. That was
I
like
forgot about the Nerf ball gun.
Yeah. And so then also an American soldier working for the UN is leading troops to try and rescue the hostages. That's kind of the most easiest to understand
sure
of the entire film, right?
Yeah.
Rescue mission. Okay.
Basically, we'll just go and say Van Damme is awesome. That was the plot of the movie from start to finish. Here's a ridiculous situation and how Van Damme is going to make it amazing.
Yes, that's very true.
Okay. Now, obviously, the hard part here, and you can tell that they struggled with this, is trying to take a fighting video game with very little plot at all and try and shove a plot into it that would create a reason for all of these characters to have to karate kick each other.
Exactly.
Right?
Well, they didn't have Kevin Feige back in 1994.
No, they didn't. Well, what were you guys? I'm assuming you've played. I don't know. You were only 6, but had you played Street Fighter before this movie came out?
I did. I absolutely played this game.
Yeah, in the arcade at Ben Franklin is when I remember playing this.
Absolutely. And I probably played a copy knockoff of it on my Commodore VIC-20 or 64 because my dad wouldn't allow us to have actual video games. So,
Oh man,
like legitimately, we probably played the goofiest copies, like 5 or 6 different. This is the same exact game, but not quite right.
yeah, I remember when this came out on Super Nintendo. My head almost exploded. It was
Right.
like the great. You mean I don't have to go to the arcade and play Street Fighter?
Think of the quarters. Oh my gosh.
That was the.
Yeah.
This is. I'm young, I guess, on this one. But you can't get the original Street Fighter in America. I guess it's
No.
banned or something.
Oh, is that why it's always just Street Fighter 2?
That's why it's always Street Fighter 2.
Yeah, that's interesting. I'm sure there's probably people
I was
that.
trying to dig that up last night. Like, why can't I play Street Fighter? Where's the original Street Fighter? And it just said copyright banned. Like,
No kidding.
I had no idea.
It was never a straight answer. It was always some crazy thing.
I mean, it can't be that hard to write our own version now.
No, but what were your guys' thoughts on just that early attempt to make a video game movie? How do you think they did as far as matching it with the video game?
They probably felt like they didn't have to put a whole lot of thought into making it good. They can just throw these characters in a blender and it would be good by itself. And necessarily they did that with a lot of comic books. They did that a lot with do you remember the 1990 Captain America movie?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
That was terrible.
So you think they were just like, well, this doesn't have to actually be good. These little morons will come see it if people are in it.
It was a cash grab.
I think these kids will drag their parents to the theater to see this.
Yeah, it was a cash grab.
So we don't really have to put much thought into plotting and writing and all
No,
that
I don't think the video game had a campaign mode that we really had to follow through and match up to, So it was basically, all right, here are 8 characters. How do they interact? Here's a situation where they all saw each other.
Right. I do appreciate the fact that they didn't give it, well, this wasn't a thing yet because Bryan Singer's X-Men came out in 1999, but the Bryan Singer treatment is what I call this, where they don't go with like the accurate costumes and those things because they think like it won't play in a movie, so we got to just do the black leather suits or whatever, because to do the actual costumes from the comic books or the video games would look ridiculous, right? And so for a long time, you didn't see that, and it wasn't until the MCU and DC and stuff started going comic book accurate that people embrace like, no, we want to see the actual suits. And so I do appreciate that about this movie is that they didn't do that. And as ridiculous as some of the costumes look, they were like, we're throwing them in the costumes.
Yeah. Through the whole movie, these guys look like their character from the video game.
Yeah, for the most part. I mean, some of the characters.
One person that did not look like the character.
Well, we're
One
going to get into that because one of the questions I have for you later has to do with that exactly. So
whose idea was to cast that?
I don't know. We'll see. And this is some lazy internet research I did too, but apparently because they were running so far behind on time and budget, they split the units. And so Steven was directing first unit stuff and they had the stunt coordinator go and direct a lot of the fights separately. Right. Mm-hmm. And Steven they had a big blow up fight because the stunt director wasn't incorporated in any of their like character specific special moves and things like that because the guy made the decision on his own that they were too stupid and ridiculous to look realistic. And Steven came back and said, we got to reshoot all of this because we have to have that stuff in the movie. So I appreciate that he did that.
As a child watching this movie, albeit older than Bob as a child, I absolutely, you need to have that ridiculous special finishing move. I mean,
Right.
it's got to be.
I think they all nailed it.
Yeah, because if Ryu, I mean, we can talk about how stupid it was in how they executed it, but if he doesn't do a Hadouken in the movie, everyone's just going to be mad.
What the heck? That was the whole point.
Or Guile doesn't do the spin helicopter kick or the flip kick.
Or any of that stuff,
He didn't
right?
do the sonic boom. That's the one thing he didn't do. But how do you do
Sonic boom?
How do you do a sonic boom? That most obnoxious move. How do you incorporate that?
I don't know. And I don't know. I was mad that they didn't do some of the, and I say mad, I mean, as a 14-year-old or a 13-year-old when this movie came out, a 13-year-old mad about them not doing some of the sound effects and stuff like that. That's how in I wanted them to lean into all that stuff, right?
He wanted to be playing the video game in unison with the movie going and the side at the same time.
Didn't they have a video game come out for this movie? The live, like the kind of, they shot the actors on a blue screen doing the fight game.
Yeah, it was for like the PlayStation, like I don't know if it was for the or Sega CD or like the 3DO or whatever, but they had like a motion capture Street Fighter, the movie, the game, where it's like actually Van Damme and those guys. It was pretty bad.
And the actress that played Gammy was actually in the Gammy outfit in the game, but not in the movie. Why,
Kylie Minogue.
Why was she not in the Gammy outfit in the movie?
I don't know.
That's
why.
Why?
I mean, write him a letter, I guess. I don't know.
For reasons. Maybe she refused.
Yeah, that would have been a lot to have to parade around in that for the whole thing, I think.
If you're getting paid $20 million, I mean, I'll parade
Yeah.
around in a leotard.
You think they got
I hear you.
paid $20 million in '94 to parade around in a leotard?
I know
I
Van
would
Damme
do
got-
it for $50 today.
Like a
And you buy
third.
the leotard.
Van Damme made $8 million off of this movie.
It was like a third of the budget was just that's why everybody else is unknowns for the most
Yeah.
part. Him and Raul Julia, and they had no money left.
That's the thing, though. You have to pay Van Damme to do this movie because we're not going to watch it without him.
Right.
That's true.
I mean, I guess you could have tried Seagal.
Oh,
Those were your
gosh.
options.
That's like in an alternate universe somewhere, Street Fighter with
Seagal.
Steven
Could
Seagal.
you imagine the flat top on Seagal?
That would be amazing.
Bison, are you man enough to fight with me? What? Could you speak up? I couldn't hear.
Seagal would never let Bison touch him. So
No. Well, the last thing I'll say about this as far as video game accuracy is I know it's cheesy. I loved that they all did their win animation at the end of the movie, right, all together. I remember just as a young kid watching that going, yes. It was awesome. So let's talk about, I want to talk a little bit about the writing as you know, before we move on to some of the individual stuff. So, because Steven de Souza, I think, is a good writer. I mean, the guy wrote Die Hard. He's got lots of other writing credits to his name. I mean, I know we joked about Flintstones and Beverly Hills Cop 3, but he's written some good movies. And I think there are some great moments in this movie that actually sizzle a little bit, like just from a writing standpoint. Some of it's because how it's delivered and some of it's the acting, right? But I don't think that this script was a total turd. I don't know what you guys think about that.
I enjoyed it. I mean, even if it were just today, I mean, I guess I like corny movies in general, but I really, truly enjoyed this movie anyhow. Now, take out, memories of fondness and everything. It was still fun. It's a good way to waste, a little bit of time in the morning.
Yeah, I wish movies were more fun like this, right?
You're right.
this movie didn't take itself too seriously. And I wrote down I even wrote down on this thing the amount of great one-liners and 2 great monologues in this movie.
Yeah.
And this movie is like, the writing's not, the script's not a bad script.
Right.
It's I don't know if there was studio interference or if it was clashing with the stunt coordinator and the director. So it's like, it seemed like there's a lot more behind the scenes and rushed production as opposed to a bad script.
Right.
Because
Release the Souza cut.
No, there was only one cut that needed to be released. Everyone, no. I do not want to see an Iyer cut. I don't want to see any of that other crap. I got the one cut I wanted to see. Thank you.
Okay.
Release the Souza cut.
I think, okay, there are a couple of things, though, just from a writing standpoint that just make me cringe. Like the obvious introduction, like just when they would use their characters' names over and over again. Oh, hello, Seagal. This is Vega. Hi, Vega. I'm Ken. Oh, Guile. Come on. I mean, they were just wanted it to just clearly
Well, I think it's because the parents didn't know any of the names.
That's true.
Like, they needed to have something to be able to talk about with their kids at breakfast the next morning.
Hey, can you pass me that camera, E Honda? Sure, Balrog. I mean, it's just kind of ridiculous.
I wouldn't necessarily say the script's like a bad script. I would say
I'm nitpicking.
It's a good script, but just something along the lines something went wrong in that production from start to finish.
There just wasn't a lot of cohesion, right? And so there's one thing I noted is I think the writer even knew that it was confusing, right? Mm-hmm. Because people are, there were people that were friends and then they were enemies and then they were enemies again. And then Bison and Sagat are going to kill each other. But in the next scene, they're cool with each other again. And then are Ken and Ryu good guys or are they bad guys? Now they're with these guys, but they're double crossing these guys, right? And so there's a lot of that stuff. And I think even the writer knew it was confusing because they had to include dialogue like this. Like when Ken he literally says this out loud, man, this sucks. Those guys are good guys like us.
Right. How many times was that movie over before one of the other groups decided, no, we're going to screw you out of ending this movie right now?
Honestly.
I mean, she was ready to kill him, and it was like, no, wait. Oh, now I'm in my panic room. Ha, ha, ha. The room's full of gas. Here you go.
Anytime you have to have a character say out loud, these guys are good guys, and so are we, you're having to spoon feed it to people because
nobody's going to get this. Wait, which one was the bad? I'm confused.
Mm.
Right? How many movies have you seen, Bob, where it's just like, you're a good guy, and so am I. We're the good guys. Let's go.
Every Dolph Lundgren, Van Damme movie that came out from 99 till now. It's like action movies.
Yeah.
Like I always say the Seagal, Lundgren, Norris, Van Damme, their movies were from the 80s up until like mid-90s. And once they made a bad movie in the mid-90s, it was just, you just kind of see it. Like, tapered off, and then they do these really bad, because all these new action movies they take themselves too damn seriously.
Well, beyond that, too, I think they got to a point where they were doing like 14 movies a month.
Yeah.
Like, these guys were busy, like super busy.
And they're still getting paid obnoxious amount of money for these obnoxious movies. I mean, we were watching a JCVD a few years ago, and they, didn't Van Damme say, like, why don't you give me $1 million and then put the rest of it towards a budget?
Yeah.
It was like a $10 million budget, was it? And they want to give him $6 million out of $10 million, which would be $4 million for the rest,
everything.
For everything else.
So he knew the rest of it was going to be trash because they get No, I know. And I want to talk about something you brought up, Clint, because this is probably the moment, even then when I was young, that drives me crazy about this movie is the Chun-Li scene where she is destroying Bison.
Absolutely wrecked him.
Like Bison up to this point has manhandled everybody. And what's so great, this is, I should mention this, as I rewatch this, the one way you can know if a movie's going to be awesome, does the bad guy snap two people's necks before the opening credits are over?
Right. Absolutely.
Okay, so the opening credits haven't even finished, and Bison's already snapped two guys' necks. So he's been dominating the whole movie.
Absolutely.
Bison or Thanos.
Well, that's a whole other conversation.
Wow.
But
we know what we're doing next week.
They had built him up to this point like he was unstoppable. And then here's this reporter who is just kicking his butt, right?
Yes.
I think she was going to win. She was 100% going to beat him.
He was done. It was in his face. He was acting defeated.
Right.
She was winning, and hold on, wait.
Right. Well, what's funny is she's kicking his butt, and then her friends literally come to his rescue.
Right.
Right? They come running, Chun-Li, don't worry, we'll save you. We're here. It's like, no. She doesn't need your help. And that distraction lets him get away. Her friends rescued Bison.
Absolutely.
It's so frustrating.
That's why they had to have that. No, wait, we're the good guys, and so are they. They needed that because right there is like, hey, you're clearly on Bison's side.
Right?
In that moment.
Honestly. Because did she look like she needed your help? Why are you coming in running? We'll save you.
Oh, yeah. I think she was just super pissed off at that moment because he reminded her that it was Tuesday.
Yeah, and was that one of the best moments in the film when she just snaps her bindings.
Yes.
And just goes after him.
Absolutely.
From sound effects to everything and her reaction.
Oh, yeah.
Sure. Like, I don't know who was the sound effects guy in the movie, but when she swooshes over the sofa and just kicks him right in the face.
And I was always a Chun-Li main. Like, that was my character when I played Street Fighter as a kid. I always used her. And so the whole movie, I'm like, when is she going to kick somebody's butt, right? Like, this is my character. And so it was a total moment of catharsis when she just started wailing on him. I'm in the theater going, yes, kill him.
You were almost vindicated for playing that tune constantly.
Yeah. And then for that to have happened, I was so upset. So upset. Because she didn't get her due in the movie. I mean, she had a great 3 minutes there, but other than that, I don't feel like the character really got her due. No. So, question now. Let's shift to Guile. Okay.
Right on.
Here's my question. Is Colonel Guile the stupidest colonel in United States military history?
He disobeyed a direct order.
That's
a court-martialable offense.
Well, it is, but here's I'll give you my first example, and then you can tell me what you think on this, okay? He is in the beginning, he's having a little video conference through the reporter with Bison, where he's talking to him directly. And he does the stupidest thing where he goes, "Hey, Charlie, don't worry, buddy.
Right.
I'll be there to get you." And totally just puts a target right on his friends.
Absolutely.
I half expected Bison to turn and look at him and go, "Oh, I don't know who Charlie is. It's definitely not me. Sorry." Why would you do that? That was so stupid of him to basically kill his friend, right?
Oh yeah. But it was another.
Dude got ripped. He went on a huge work-out program though there in a couple of days.
Yeah, fed green and orange Jello.
If there's a way to get on that,
and pure
food color in an IV bag and put an ominous sticker on it, you're dialed. I mean, right there.
And then
if there's a way to get on
some Pure Rage movies, you're good.
If there's a way to get on the Blanca shredding, program without turning green,
dude, if we can get the orange hair, I'm okay with it.
Okay,
I'll totally dial with that.
All right.
So the orange chest hair right here.
Would an actual colonel do something that stupid to get a POW killed?
I do not think so.
No, but that was a classic case of spoon feeding your audience.
I also don't think a colonel would be talking with the reporter in the street either.
Also true.
Yes.
Right. It seems very dumb. Mm-hmm. Also, he dyed his hair orange, right?
Yeah.
No, I mean
he
even within the world. So forget Van Damme. I know Van Damme doesn't have orange hair, but even that character in the world of the movie wasn't born with orange hair. Colonel Guile dyes his hair orange.
Yes.
Right?
Colonel Guile's blonde.
No,
that's what I'm
not even close.
He's not blonde?
Not
in the video game.
In the video game. That's what I mean. Like,
right. Not in that movie.
Are we talking about accurate depictions from game to movie?
Yes.
Because it's inaccurate.
Costumeless.
Like the game, he's an Air Force captain.
Right.
This movie, he's a commander.
Right.
Of AM commander with orange hair.
Infantry type of commander guy.
So why does Guile?
I don't even know what he is. He's not even Colonel. He is Colonel Guile, isn't he?
They called him Commander and Colonel at different points of the movie. But why does he dye his hair orange? Let's get to the bottom of this.
He does drive a boat. So that would...
So they couldn't dye it the right color.
You get a laugh. Well, he does drive a boat.
Right. I mean, if you're going to be colonel, you need a boat.
That's true.
He does drive the boat.
So you can't even, but my question is, you can't even.
Oh, I thought you meant that's why. I said, why does he dye his hair orange? And you said, well, he drives a boat.
No. But they can't even dye his hair the proper color.
Right. Right. But I'm trying to get at
I think
why the character does.
I think he did it himself. He was trying to help out, and he just used sun-in because that was really popular in the 90s. And that's what it ends up looking like. He didn't actually dye his hair blonde.
He
just
tried to go
sun-in
blonde.
A little bit. Maybe he had something else he was doing. Like I said, those guys were really busy. We don't know all the movies that he didn't get done. Maybe he needed orange hair for something else.
Okay.
Well, he didn't need it for Hard Target. He needed a mullet.
No, he did he did a mullet in that.
Maybe the glue from holding the mullet on made his hair orange.
I have another question about Guile.
Go.
Why is he laying on that slab under the blanket in that room?
Days later.
Like however long later. It could have been days.
Hours, whatever.
Many, many hours when Chun-Li is sneaking around and he's just like, oh, it's me. I'm still alive. That made no sense.
Obviously, it's because that's how they wrote it in the script.
Right, but we have to try and make logical sense within the realm of the world.
Gotcha.
I don't think you can.
I think he just says, well, since I'm dead, let me just take a 6-hour nap here and leave me alone.
Wasn't there a tracking device on him for her to follow?
Well, there was a second
on the truck.
Device.
Yeah.
She was.
Oh, yeah. Well, speaking of this, how the hell did a reporter have a tracking device? Like,
well, she obviously wasn't a reporter.
Right.
That was just a ruse.
So there was no. Oh, okay. Was that established in the beginning of
The,
the movie?
the,
No, that was
the right
established
question,
in like minute 50.
the right question is, where did she get all that reporter equipment?
Right.
Right?
Where does a trained assassin from a small village that was raised on a Tuesday
Get a news van.
all the news van
And all that stuff.
Yeah.
That's the real question. Who's funding Chun-Li?
Channel 6 or whatever it was.
Right? And she's getting on the air.
Right. It's actual reporter stuff.
It's really an incredible undercover job by her. All right, so Bob, let's get to this because I think this is something that you've been itching to talk about.
What's that?
Who would you guys say is from a casting standpoint, was most accurately like their video game counterpart, and who was the furthest off?
I would say the most accurate.
Mm-hmm.
It's like can I have two people that they're most
Yeah,
accurate?
you can. No, there's
I
no
would
rules.
say-
There's no rules here.
I would say the two most accurate characters is Vega and Bison.
Okay.
Bison from a character standpoint, not so much as a physical standpoint, because obviously Raul Julia was sick when he was making this film.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they did what they could with the ending, which I'm sure we'll talk about later. But
Yeah, we will.
Vega, from top to bottom, the look, the mask, the claws, the outfit, the tattoo, the snake swirl, they nailed it. They nailed him.
Yeah.
I would say Ryu they nailed.
Yeah.
Pretty good. Yeah, Ryu, like Brian Mann's a great martial artist, so it's not like they didn't get a legitimate,
Yeah, I just thought the way that Ryu is usually depicted in Street Fighter, he was too small. Right? I mean, I think Ryu is
like 6'2".
generally a pretty huge.
Right.
I know all the video game characters look like Arnold
Monsters.
Schwarzenegger, right? Because they're all like
That's another
look like
thing.
bodybuilders. I don't think you have to necessarily do that, but he just looked like a really small little dude.
Yeah.
But I thought his performance was good.
Yeah, he was good. Chun-Li, the woman who played him, was like part of
Ming-Na Wen.
Ming-Na Wen, who voiced Mulan and was also in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., right?
She's
Yes.
in Mandalorian now too, right?
Mandalorian.
She's awesome. She's one of my
she's
favorite
great.
actresses.
Sagat was not a good cast. I don't know what they were thinking on that one.
So which would you think was the worst?
Damon Chapa as Ken.
Damon Chapa as Ken.
Yes. Why would what about him screamed Ken?
His name tag.
I agree with you. I think Ken had no business. That character had no business being in this movie.
He didn't, and I don't care much about bodies, but in that, Ken should be equally as jacked as Ryu was. Ryu wasn't really jacked, but Ryu was.
No, but he
Yeah,
should be
shit.
equally as impressive.
Yes.
And he was not like the first scene. Like, okay, these two guys are supposed to be gun smugglers, and Ken looks like he just fell out of a J.C. Penney catalog.
Yes, he did.
Okay, it just didn't look
No.
believable at all.
Sure. No, he wasn't believable.
Not
Very
at all.
miscast. His body wasn't believable. No, you look like you're a jewelry salesman.
I hope his mother doesn't listen to this podcast, because her standards of him were so high for so long, and you're just destroying this poor guy.
No, he's good.
He's a great actor. I think why he got
Not right
cast-
for this though.
I think why he got cast because I think the year before, I did research on this early in the morning, so forgive me. Blood In and Blood Out. It's a gangster film with Benjamin Bratt in 1993. So I think he got some notoriety for that film, and they threw him in this movie. I don't know. I'm guessing that's where they're thinking, oh, this guy got a lot of critically acclaimed buzz. Let's throw him in Street Fighter.
Well, you got to think of marketing. That could be true because marketing in the 90s, you had a couple of TV commercials here and there, but you weren't directly putting stuff in people's face. They weren't seeing clips of the movie because you were still writing it. Like, those movies were coming out right after they were finished, like, super fast. So you didn't have, you had teasers and that's about it. But yeah, you're absolutely right. It's the cast names on the thing says, oh, I'm totally going to go watch that. I like those guys.
Absolutely. Now, what do you think, Clint, as far as who do you think was the most accurate and who was the most far off?
I don't know. I mean, like I said, obviously that guy doesn't look right as far as remembering the actual game. I played it a few times, in the actual arcade, but most of it was played in, bootleg copies of the video game anyway. So as far as that's concerned, I probably don't have the best recollection of it.
Yeah.
But, just watching the movie in general, those were the characters that I thought were awesome. Giles was awesome because it's Van Damme. I'm a huge fanboy, gotta be. Bison was amazing. It was, I think it, for whatever reason, like you guys hinted on before, it probably wasn't the most dedicated all the way through performance, but it was an amazing character, amazing written. It was cool to see him actually do the video game stuff, that whole just absolutely terrible attitude, and I'm going to dominate the world. So like that I liked. I really enjoyed that.
Okay.
But yeah, you're absolutely right. Those two guys walking in and getting shot with their Nerf guns and trying to, it's like, ha ha ha. That's really funny. Good job, guys.
Right. These are supposed to be the cornerstone. I mean, in this movie, Guile was the star, but coming up in Street Fighter, it was always Ryu and Ken were the star or the cornerstone of that franchise.
It was Ryu and Ken's game.
Right. And so when they initially come in, you're like, this is going to be Ryu and Ken, these two, right?
But, when you played those video games, too, back in the day, that Ryu and Ken were, what's the other one we used to play? Like Double Dragon. That was the us's. We were the us's. You know what I mean? That could have been us. So maybe that's why he's, so plain and average American guy.
It's supposed to be us.
It's supposed to be, we could have been in that role as well.
Gotcha. The one more person I'll throw in here as far as not being, because I agree, I thought Vega, Chun-Li, I thought Van Damme was awesome. I just don't think accurate wise as far as looking
probably not
the part, but he was great.
The look wasn't there, but he had charisma playing. I was watching the movie last night. Like Van Damme oozed charisma.
Yeah, he was also apparently coked out of his mind for the entire shoot, and a huge problem. But we'll go into
I think the entire 90s.
Yeah. But here's the one person I'll say was pretty bad considering how animalistic and hulking the character was. I thought Blanca was pretty terrible. Like the big reveal, like, oh, he's coming out, here he is. And he didn't really have any more muscle feature or muscle, what's the word I'm looking for? Definition. He didn't really have any more muscle definition when he came out. He just had some more prosthetics glued to his face and a really, really bad orange wig, and he was painted green. I thought
that was a wig?
Well, I can't confirm whether or not it is. I don't have that information here, but
who styled his hair? David Lee Roth?
I don't know. I'm guessing that it was a wig, but pretty lame as reveals go, in my opinion.
We do have to give this shout out to the greatest, the hidden gem of Street Fighter 94.
Who is that?
Zangief.
Yeah, well, I can't believe we've gone this long into the podcast and not talked about Zang. Is that, how do you say it?
Zangief.
Zangief.
Yeah.
Yeah. That guy. He only had so he was the big
oh, absolutely. The news reporter Van.
No, that was Honda. Honda
was pretty accurate too.
Honda was good. Honda had that Godzilla fight with Zangief at the end where they're crushing the city, and so he was just that big hulking henchman guy.
Absolutely.
And yeah, he had 6 lines of dialogue in the entire movie. Most of his performance consisted of stand around and look confused. Yeah. Right, that was kind of the director probably gave him that note. Look, man, when you don't have a line, just stand in the background and look like you're confused by whatever's happening, and that's his performance, which is pretty great. But it actually segues nicely into my next question for you guys. So, who do you think gave the top 3 performances in this movie, in your opinion, if you had to rank the top 3 performances? Clint, I'll let you go first.
Van Damme obviously gets all 3 positions.
Yeah. All 3? Number 1, 2, and 3?
1, 2, and 3. Amazing. Like I said, fanboy all the way across. I only want to see if we can piss him off enough to where he would actually come out here and
challenge me.
Yeah, he would actually come out here and roundhouse kick all 3 of us in the face with the same kick. That would be amazing if we could make
just
that
line us up.
Yeah, just boom.
I think he could probably still crank that leg back around.
Get us all. Even if we have to get him something to lean on or whatever, that'd be fine. I'm okay with it.
Yeah, I think just saying that he could have something to lean on probably piss him off enough to actually come out here.
That's what I'm talking about.
I seen him in Huckleberry Finn. I see what he can do.
How come nobody else has seen Jean-Claude Van Johnson? It's such a great.
I love Jean-Claude Van Johnson. I actually posed this to you the other day. Do you think that they made all of these terrible movies in the 90s specifically to validate this script that they had already written for Jean-Claude Van Damme or Johnson that they wanted to release in 2017, 18, whatever, when that came out?
Yeah.
I don't get how
it's a real long play.
Yeah, it was such a great. I'm aware of these movies, so let's give it a reason why this happened. I mean, this is fantastic.
He's constantly ripping on his own body of work, which is great. When you don't,
that is absolutely amazing.
Right,
that's why I know we're not going to piss him off and make him come out.
He's got enough.
He's so cool to do it.
He's got enough of a sense of humor.
He will come out and just talk about his movies. That'd be cool too.
That'd be cool too. Yeah, by all means, come on out.
Yeah, we'd love to have you, Jean-Claude Van Damme.
It's Van Johnson.
Van Johnson.
Either way.
But yeah, that was probably one of the biggest tragedies of the new, kind of the streaming television era that we're in right now, is that things get put on and canceled so quickly, and the fact that never got any more episodes is just a tragedy.
I don't know. Was there more episodes to write? I think it was legitimately. I mean, I watched it from start to finish, and in like 3 days, so it all kind of blurs together what I was watching.
Yeah.
But like legitimately, I think they were done. I didn't feel like cliffhanger.
I could have watched 10 more seasons.
Sure, we could have watched more, but I don't think it was like written to where there's supposed to be more.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. Okay, so what is it? So you gave Jean-Claude all 3 spots. What was it? What was kind of your favorite thing about his performance, or was there a special moment for you?
No, I mean it's the whole thing. I just enjoy the over the topness of the. I mean, obviously the American boy. He's really gonna come out here and kick the ass of this warlord. Just like openly taunting back and forth. Like, I'm super overconfident. Just put us in the room together. I'll take care of this kind of attitude.
Yeah, even the first time he cracks him, it zooms in on the American flag
exactly.
on his. Yeah, that's kind of on the nose, but awesome too at the same point. All right, how about for you, Bob? Top 3 performances in this movie.
I would say Van Damme number 1,
Mm-hmm.
just for reasons that Clint pointed out, and I would say Raul Julia for 2.
Okay.
And I would say Chun-Li for 3.
All right, that's interesting because I've got the same top 3. I don't know if it's in the same order, but let's talk about these a little bit because I've got Jean-Claude at number 3.
How dare you?
Can we talk for a second?
Now he's not coming. You jerk.
No, I'm putting him at number 3 so that he will come because he'll be so mad that I ranked him 3rd.
Oh, so now you want to make it, he came because of you. So you're making this about you instead of us. I get it.
Generally, yeah.
All right.
Can we talk for a second? I think this deserves a few minutes on this podcast to talk about the speech that he gave before they all shipped out when the guy shows up to tell him, no, we're going to negotiate.
We're just going to pay him.
We're just going to pay him the money.
Pay the ransom money.
$20
billion in 1994.
What would prevent him from taking more hostages next month and asking for $50 billion, $100 billion? Colonel, have you lost your mind? No, you lost your balls.
Dude.
Love that line. You lost your balls.
This is the thing. People say that Van Damme didn't have any acting chops. He's never going to be like an Oscar winner, right? Or Daniel Day-Lewis or anything like that. But he has got charisma in spades, right? It's the same reason Arnold was successful, even though he was limited acting-wise, right? They both have tons of charisma, and he put whatever he had, all of it, into those like 6-7 lines of dialogue. And I know, Bob, and I can tell you right now, there's nothing in front of you. I know you've got the speech memorized by heart.
Oh, God.
He stands up to the microphone. What does he say? Do it. Come on, do it for us.
Troopers, I just gave new orders. Our superior said the war is canceled. We can all go home. Bison is paid off with his crimes, and our friends who have died here will have died for nothing. But we can all go home. Meanwhile, ideas like peace, freedom, and justice.
Do we owe money for this?
No, he's good. You can say it.
They get packed up, but we can all go home. Well, I'm not going home. I'm going to get on my boat, and I'm going to go upriver, and I'm going to kick that son of a bison's ass so hard that the next bison wannabe is going to feel it. Now, who wants to go home, and who wants to go with me?
Oh, my God, that's so good.
Incredible. That was
actually, you're on my number 3 spot for performances for that.
That was you, and Clint, you can verify.
Yeah,
you didn't look at anything.
No paper in front of me.
You've been reciting that speech for as long as I've known you.
Oh, dude, I love that speech. That's what it goes back to, like what I really say with what not to tread on it again, but like the script, like the writing, the dialogue wasn't entirely bad. There was a lot of good dialogue. Like Bison's freaking monologue is really good. Just how he acts it out. Like it just gives that a whole obnoxious plot.
Absolutely.
It just gives you the plot of what he's trying to do.
Yeah.
We're going to make this beautiful city so that everybody,
bows down
to me and loves me.
Yeah. Can we talk about that? Because I think, or actually, no, I'm going to save that for a second. Let's finish up with Van Damme, but I want to talk about the speech
Which one?
Bison's speech in a minute. Yeah.
Okay.
You still got your 2 and 1 to go for too.
I know.
We're getting ahead.
But yeah, another thing I'll say. So that speech, yeah, it gives me goosebumps every
yeah.
single time. And but Van Damme also has another little thing about his performance. He actually has a great little comedic take when they've already infiltrated the building and all those guys line up like shoot him. He pulls out the little knife and they all start to back off.
Absolutely.
And he starts getting that look. He's like, but all these other people are behind him. And when he looks and realizes and like he does this little thing and puts his knife away, it's actually a brilliant comedic take from him, and he nails it. And I don't think he gets enough credit.
He doesn't. He, like, if you look at Expendables 2, he's hilarious in Expendables 2. Not because he's not like flat out makes you laugh, but like the little things he just said, the little things that he does that you're just like, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, like, that Expendables thing too. That movie, great stuff. I love it. I like everything about it, but the title just doesn't make sense to me. Those guys were pretty vital to the movie. They're not expendable at all.
No, otherwise it'd been 20 minutes long, right?
Right.
Yeah, I hear you. All right, so my number 2 was Chun-Li, obviously, and I'm a little biased because she's my favorite character, I think.
When is she not your favorite character?
When
is she not your favorite character?
She's awesome. And what always struck me as funny about this is everybody always craps on this movie as being a piece of garbage, right? And so
how are their movies doing in the box office?
This movie made double its budget back, and then that's before it even left theaters. And I mean, so no one could say this wasn't a success. And what's funny is they try to come back in 2009 and go, okay, well, forget that piece of garbage. We're gonna make a real Street Fighter movie, and it was they focused on Chun-Li for that one, right? Mm-hmm. And it was supposed to be like more of a professionally polished movie, and it was worse than the one that they thought was garbage.
Is that the one we're doing next week?
No.
Chris Klein. Remember
That's not
Chris
good
Klein?
bad.
Yeah,
That's bad.
Yeah. Neil McDonough as Bison without the outfit. Like, no, they didn't have. And then what was the one guy from Black Eyed Peas was Vega.
Well, they did the Bryan Singer treatment, right? They're like, we have to make this realistic, and we can't use the video game costumes, and we're going to make it more serious. And it was not only did it tank money wise, it made so much less than their supposedly crappy version.
Oh yeah,
it wasn't as good of a movie. I've never rewatched it once.
No,
I saw it the first time, and that was it.
You and I saw it at the theater, and we left, and we never talked about it again.
Have you ever seen it at all?
No, negative.
Well, you're lucky.
Winning.
You're winning, and we're losing.
My question is, how can you there's only one worst worst video game movie ever made. But how can you tie with that damn movie?
What's that?
Mortal Kombat Annihilation.
Oh.
Street Fighter Chun-Li, The Legend of Chun-Li, literally tied with...
Box office with it?
No, just with how bad the movie was.
Oh, yeah.
With Mortal Kombat Annihilation. Like,
they're both terrible. For different reasons.
Oh, yeah. But it just shows you, the studio thought they knew better than the audience. And, we're going to get rid of the costumes. We're going to get rid of this. We're going to get rid of that. Well, that clearly didn't work. Now did it?
Well, and that's the biggest part of it, too. You're making a movie about a video game. This is truly fantasy. I mean, video games are putting something in your head you're thinking about playing through while you're going. It is fantasy. So, if you're going to make a movie about it, bring it to my story. Match what's in my head already.
Right.
And that's why the Resident Evil movies are successful, regardless if you think they're good films.
Right. Yeah.
They made how many of these damn movies? 9? 6? I don't even know.
No, you got to lean into it.
96. There was a lot.
Yeah.
A lot of.
I think Resident Evil. Those movies could have followed, followed the facts or the lore a little bit closer. I think they took a lot of liberties, but I do appreciate about them that they leaned into the video game-ness of it all, and so I think that's always better to do that way. All right, so my number 1, and this is where I want to take let's call this our Raul Julia appreciation thread right here, and just take a few minutes and talk about how awesome. He was my number 1 performance in the movie. Totally 110% going for it in every single scene that he's in. He knew exactly the kind of movie he was in, and he said, I'm just going to 100% go for this. I mean, the man had, like you mentioned earlier, he had stomach cancer while he's shooting this movie. Right? Mm-hmm. That they had to put this kind of big padded suit on him because he was starting to get really skinny and weak. And so that affected how they shot fight scenes and all that stuff, right? They moved shooting schedules around. But he basically, because he couldn't do much with his body fighting wise, had to do everything in his performance. All that, he had to be menacing. He had to be believable as like someone that would be more dangerous than anybody else in the movie. And he absolutely elevated. I think he elevates the whole movie with his performance.
No, I agree. He's the Marlon Brando of Street Fighter.
Right. We got the Van Damme and all the Van Damme-ness of it, but then you got to have the one serious actor.
Well, you got to have beyond a serious actor. You have to have somebody to Van Damme against. They tried it. Van Damme against Van Damme in Double Impact, and it doesn't work out so good. You need to have somebody to be against. You can't be yourself.
Yeah.
And that's why I believe a lot of his earlier movie, like when you put Van Damme up against a classically trained actor in most of his movies, the villains are always really good.
Absolutely.
Because he's up against a really good actor.
Right.
And it makes it like Raul Julia and Van Damme. Like it made Van Damme that much better because Julia was that much better than Van Damme.
Right.
In the acting department. But Van Damme was really good at bringing eyeballs.
Absolutely. He was the show.
Exactly. You had Van Damme for the show, and you had Raul Julia,
Well,
like the backbone and catalyst. Like,
we hit on it too. Like you have a draw. Your draw comes from the name on the door.
Yes.
And all right, this guy was super entertaining in the last thing I saw him in, so I'm going to go see this because he was in it too. But yeah, you're absolutely right. You have the fantastic acting, supporting acting, and everything going on behind him that make it possible. Otherwise, you just get a little tired. I mean, I'll never get tired of just watching somebody kick somebody in the face. I enjoy that.
Yeah.
but that's the one thing I do miss.
Mostly
about-
because I can't do it. I wish I could.
You can kick
people
someone in the face.
Only if they
Isn't
fell
that
down.
what watching action movies is kind of? It's like,
Yeah.
man, that'd be awesome if I could do that to somebody.
I mean, and you go on to other stuff too. It's like I watched this movie years ago. I mean, eons ago. And I've always said too, like somebody will say something, it's like, oh, it's the most ridiculous. Like, oh, that's just Tuesday around here. And I never even realized until the other day when I was rewatching this, when James had said something that we're going to do this. I'm like, all right, cool. I'll go rewatch. And he puts out that whole dialogue. To you, the day that your village was raised was the most memorable day of your life. To me, it was Tuesday. And it's
One
like,
of the best lines.
legitimately, he's like, I have been subconsciously stealing this man's work like most of my adult life, and I didn't even know it.
You're Bison, you don't even know it.
Yeah.
No, what's great about his performance in that scene is he plays it like he's not trying to like burn
He's
her.
trying to seduce her.
Well, not only is he trying to seduce her, but specifically with that story, he's not trying to like get a dig in on her by saying that. He plays it as he's genuinely confused. He's like, I'm sorry, I don't remember any of it, right? Like he's legitimately saying, I'm sorry, I don't remember. It was Tuesday, and he's played it with such sincerity that I think is what makes it awesome.
Yeah. It was so good.
Yeah, that's kind of lived on beyond the movie. It's become a whole meme. That for me, it was Tuesday.
Right. Well, that's
You know.
what I didn't even
I
realize.
sent you the GIF, didn't I?
Yeah,
Yeah. The
What's
meme.
a GIF?
a GIF.
A GIF. I say it wrong.
GIF is
now.
peanut butter, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
It is.
it is.
Choosy mom. Choose GIF.
All right, let's take a
Placement.
moment.
That's paying for this rental here today, actually.
We're gonna take a moment, and this is gonna be our moment of appreciation for Raul Julia. Rest in peace. It's been a long time, but we still miss you.
R.I.P. Raul.
And he took a paragraph that was written on a page, okay, and turned it into this.
But why? Why do they still call me a warlord? And mad? All I want to do is to create the perfect genetic soldier. Not for power, not for evil, but for good. Carlos Blanca will be the first of many. They shall march out of my laboratory and sweep away every adversary, every creed, every nation, until the very planet is in the loving grip of the Pax Bisonica. And then peace will reign in the world.
He's literally talking about how glorious his genocide
All
is.
humanity
Yes.
The music's phenomenal.
shall bow to me in humble gratitude.
Yeah, I mean, that was just words on a page, right?
Right.
And that's what I mean about elevating it. He just did that. And I mean, from that point on, the movie's off and running, and you totally buy it. Yeah.
That guy at the end.
Yes.
You mean Bison is a bad guy?
Bison's a bad guy.
Well, could you blame him after sitting there listening to that speech? You got to
Right.
be like, this is the guy that's going to win.
This sounds fantastic.
You know this, so why you serve him? Because he paid me a fortune. You got paid.
You got paid.
The Pax Bisonica kills me every time because he always is doing that. It's so like a tick about the character, just working Bison, the word, into
Everything.
Bisonopolis, the Pax Bisonica. What about his idiotic plan to kidnap the Queen of England and have her trade out the British pound for Bison bucks?
Bison bucks.
It's worth
Worth five British pounds.
I'm like, this guy is either a genius or he's a mental patient.
It would have worked.
He is a mental patient.
Yeah.
Everyone he comes across has called him that. Like Sagat even called him that too. You're
mad.
You're absolutely insane.
Oh, this money isn't worth the paper it's printed on, right?
I guess West Study didn't do a bad job acting wise either, but
No.
it was just.
He wasn't given much to do. I mean,
No.
Yeah.
Sagat kind of disappears halfway through the movie.
I love
But
him.
Sagat's
Just,
like the-
I love him just slinking away into the background.
Correct me if I'm wrong.
see,
Isn't
we out.
Sagat the semi boss before Bison? In
He's the
game?
guy you fight right before Bison, yeah.
Yeah.
But that wasn't the case in this movie. About halfway through, you kind of barely heard from him anymore.
Yeah.
Right? It all shifted to Van Damme Bison, which you kind of had to do.
I mean, that started in the opening newscast. I mean, like, here is the focus of the movie. Everything else was fumes, details.
Yeah.
Let's get there.
I guess I'm a little upset that Bison got killed at the end. Twice in the movie and for good at the end. Because I think I would have liked to have seen a sequel where he tries to kidnap the Queen of England and replace.
In this day and age, we do not have to stop just because you could actually shoot this. You could make this for your next movie.
Well,
And legitimately call it Street Fighter 2.
but the problem is
Two-ish.
casting somebody as Bison would have to. I mean, they would just be in Raul's shadow the entire
Absolutely.
time.
That's true.
Right?
That's true.
That's like
What
saying
a
we're going to
great
make.
place to be, though.
Right. That's like saying Christopher Nolan's going to come back and make another Batman and the Joker's coming back with a new actor. Like, I would pity whoever that guy is going to be. Right?
Oh, yeah.
Like, at least with Jared Leto in the new Batman movies, he doesn't have to, he's not playing the same version.
Right.
So he can do his own thing and it's not the same. But if you're going same universe, Christian Bale, everything, and you got to come back and play that same character, no one would want to do that.
Do what?
Exactly.
Gotta go back in time.
All right.
No, I mean, yeah, you couldn't. Who would you, if you had to pick somebody, if you're going to remake Street Fighter, which don't do it because obviously they tried it, failed in 2009, so don't do it.
Right. But they still made millions. They may have spent millions more. If we can make it for $50,000 and still make $500,000, that's good for us.
Yeah, but I think the rights to Street Fighter would cost
Cost
even
us
more
way
than
more
that. Yeah.
We'll call it something different. We'll call it Avenue Brawler.
Hayoken. Call it Hayoken.
Avenue Brawler 2 Turbo
Two.
Edition.
It has to be two.
Right? It's got to be Turbo Edition. All right, so you guys know my favorite thing,
And it won't be Bison. It'll be Tatanka.
from the WWF.
No, from Kevin Costner and Dances with Wolves.
Oh, okay.
Because that means buffalo.
All right, perfect.
Come on, bro.
I was thinking of the wrestler.
Are you serious? That's why Tatanka was called Tatanka in WWE from
I don't know.
Dances with Wolves.
I don't know if that's true.
I don't know.
That sounds pretty accurate.
All right, well, anyway, you guys know. I mean, this is what the stuff I do on YouTube. It's my favorite thing to kind of dissect is movie quotes, right? And so I put together what I thought were the top 5 quotes of the film. So I'm going to give these to you guys, and you tell me if you disagree or think there's one that
It
should
was
be in
Tuesday is not on there. I disagree.
there. It is on there.
All right,
It is on there. So
I will entertain your list.
number 5 was "You got paid," right? Which is the one that
That's
you
pretty
just
good.
brought up. Okay, I thought that one's definitely got to be in there. Number 4 was also Zangief, which is as the truck with the bomb and it is rolling down and they're watching it on the television.
Change
he
the
goes,
channel.
"Yeah, exactly. Quick, change the channel." The guy's such a moron. Number 3 I had as just the entire Bison speech that we just listened to. That's the entire thing.
Sure.
Number 2 was It Was Tuesday,
Yeah.
I think is the second best quote in the movie. But it's got to go. Number one's got to go. Do you want to go home or do you want to go with me?
Yeah.
Right. That's got to be the best quote in the entire
I
film.
would say yeah.
I know it was Tuesdays
gotta
lived longer.
You got to extend that quote a little bit further. Even
Right.
like it's that almost that entire speech. You have lost your balls has to be somewhere on the list.
Yeah. Well, I think that all kind of is part of it. And I was gonna say I think it was Tuesday has lived longer, but I think for different reasons because it's kind of funnier. But I don't think it's necessarily the best. I think this is the best quote in the entire movie. It's the one that, at least for me, still to this day gives me goosebumps. So this is the most important question, guys, that we've been kind of coming down to here. So I'll ask this of each of you: is Street Fighter the greatest movie of all time?
It is absolutely the greatest movie of all time that was named Street Fighter from 1994, starring Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Okay, I don't think anyone would argue with that.
Right. I don't think they could.
I think it's
not
be possible. You're right.
I would say it's the top 5 greatest bad movie of all time, next to Roadhouse.
Next to Roadhouse.
Be nice.
Okay.
Until it's time to not be
Next
nice.
to Roadhouse. It is, in your estimation, one of the top 5 bad movies of all time.
Absolutely.
I think no, it's not the greatest movie of all time, but it's worth asking that, right? We should always ask that question.
Yeah.
I think it's a top 5 movie from 1994.
Ooh.
I think it should have been nominated for Best Picture.
And Eddie Murphy for best actor, Beverly Hills Cop.
No, that was Beverly Hills Cop 3. That was no. But listen to this, okay? Well, here, was it better than these are the 5 Best Picture nominations from that year, okay?
God.
And so it's just got to be better than one of them to make the top 5.
Okay.
Okay?
I'll buy that.
So 3 of these, I don't think so. Because that year, Forrest Gump,
Amazing.
Pulp Fiction, and Shawshank Redemption were nominated.
Absolutely.
So 94 was a barn burner year.
Yeah.
I mean, those 3 were all
Those 3
nominated.
movies came out in that year,
Yeah.
all competing for best picture.
All competing for Best Picture.
That is bullshit because they all should have won in separate years, 93,
and
4,
the,
and 5.
And the one that won out of those 3 was the one that shouldn't have, which Forrest Gump is not better than Pulp Fiction or Shawshank Redemption. It's a good movie,
It's a great movie.
but not better than those 2. So I think if they were re-voting this year, it'd be a different outcome. But those were 3. The other 2 were Quiz Show and 4 Weddings and a Funeral.
Ooh. 4 Weddings and a Funeral. All in all, watchable.
Yeah.
Quiz Show.
Yeah.
It's something we've watched. We never talked about. I've never even once spoken of Quiz Show after I saw it.
Would you
Until
rather
now.
watch
Thank you.
Street Fighter starring Jean-Claude Van Damme or Quiz Show?
Well, I bet you if I'd have looked on my streaming service that would have been available too. And I did watch Street Fighter, and I will not watch Quiz Show.
So, therefore, it should have been nominated for Best Picture because it is better than Quiz Show and a top 5 movie in 1994.
Yeah, I would strongly agree.
I have to. I
But
don't have a
Raul
choice.
Julia should at least got best supporting actor nomination.
He should have been a Best Actor nomination. Forget Best Supporting Actor.
Well, I'm just saying supporting actor for the reasons that reasons that you know. But
I don't think he should have been just nominated. I think he should have won.
didn't he get nominated for a Saturn Award?
For Bison?
Yeah,
I don't know. I'd have to look.
I think he did get nominated.
But look, these are the 5 guys that were nominated for acting that year.
Oh God.
Okay? Tom Hanks for Forrest Gump.
Sure.
Okay.
Morgan Freeman
Absolutely.
for Shawshank.
Uh-huh.
Red.
Nigel Hawthorne for The Madness of King George, a.k.a. you were mad if you watched this movie. Paul Newman in Nobody's Fool, or, Nobody Watched, anyway. And John Travolta in Pulp Fiction.
Travolta out of Pulp Fiction, really?
Got
he was
nominated.
The one who got nominated?
He's not even the best actor in that movie.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, he had a good role. Don't get me wrong, but he's definitely not the tops of that movie.
I think he scored that nomination because everyone was so psyched about his comeback in that because he hadn't done anything in
that's
such a
true,
long
too.
time. But yeah, Sam Jackson
Absolutely.
should have got that nomination.
Bruce Willis was pretty good too, but
I don't know if he got maybe he got a best supporting nod for that movie. I'd have to go back and look, but I think Raul Julia should be in there over Nigel Hawthorne or Paul Newman in Nobody's Fool.
Oh yeah, but yeah, without question. But look at the time. At that time, video game movies and comic book movies were considered dumpster fires.
Well, even at $8 million, it didn't make jack compared to
Right.
any of these other movies. So I think a lot of it is, pay. How did they do? Not how do we feel about it?
Well, actually, funny enough, Street Fighter was a commercially worldwide successful film.
It was.
It was made $100 million worldwide gross total, and then it made an obnoxious amount of money on video, which was like 60 something million, which grand total 160 something $1 million.
Yeah,
a budget of 35 million.
Some of that is time frame too, because think of how many people bought that thing on VHS and then got a DVD player.
Oh yeah,
Yep.
absolutely.
Like, so those couple of years, those figures are.
This is like until now. Like, this is
No,
how much
no,
movies
but I'm
made,
just saying,
yeah.
like, movies of that time frame will see a bump in that because they were bought on media twice. Most, anything that was good worth watching.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure people have probably bought 3 different versions of Street Fighter if they bought the VHS, the DVD, and the Blu-ray. Right? Now
You
you've
bought the Blu-ray of that.
of Street Fighter. I don't know if
Do
there
you own the
is
Blu-ray?
a Blu-ray of Street Fighter.
There
Is there? Because
There is a
I will be purchasing it.
Yeah, here's the Blu-ray cover of it.
Look at that. There is a Blu-ray. Oh, and Van Damme's head is bigger than Raul Julia's. That's how you can always tell who's supposed to be the star, is who's got the biggest head on the poster. Right? And I don't, the disembodied floating heads on posters, it always just, I don't know what that is. People love to do that. It's weird. It looks like Mufasa coming in through the clouds in Lion King, right? To talk to all the other little Street Fighters. I don't like it. Well, guys, one of our good friends and future co-host on this show wasn't able to join us today. Mel Vandy, he's been our sound guy on our film projects, and he had a few things he still wanted to get in here about Street Fighter, so here's our first rendition of Vandy's rants.
Street Fighter, huh? Let me tell you. I was a little excited when I heard we were going to talk about Street Fighter, the 1994 film that even today gives me a raging with the amount of spandex and camouflage and kung fu fighting. Or am I thinking of Sleepless in Seattle? Well, maybe this one should have been called Sleeping in Shadaloo. It's more fitting. So Street Fighter involves the biggest, baddest bad guy in the world again, who, like every other textbook bad guy, wants to rule the world. This dude's got a fortress and plenty of incompetent henchmen. So this guy takes some people hostage and wants $20 billion, and it sounds like everybody's going to negotiate with him because that's what we do in bad guy movies. If he really wanted to become evil, he should have probably come up with a service or something that brainwashes billions of people into thinking the world cares about what they have to say, makes people willing to share anything and everything about their lives, all their likes and dislikes, and thinking a certain way while addicting them to follow the service like a zombie. $20 billion is baby compared to what this dude's been doing. We're not talking about Tom from MySpace. He's just a good dude. But on to our movie bad dude here, Grizzly Adams. You may remember him as the dad from the Addams Family. But instead of sporting a pencil-thin mustache and some dapper dress, he's dressed like a discount Nazi biker. -5 points. Da-da-da-da. You may think he's kooky, mysterious, and spooky, but I keep looking around for Cousin It, and sadly the hairy little never shows. -10 points for that. I was amazed that General Adams had an impressive floating stand-up desk, though. He was 30 years ahead of his time and deserves 5 points for thinking of his health through ergonomics. No, instead we have some sort of A-Team meets James Bond spy adventure, loosely sprinkled with video game characters from a 2-player fighting game. I'll say it slower. Fighting game. I think a Duck Hunt movie would have been more likable and more action-packed. The main character is forced to reluctantly come out of retirement to enter himself in the Bass Pro Shops World Championship duck hunting tournament, where he has to defeat the Belgian superstar Hunter, played by Jean-Claude Van Damme, of course, to win $100,000 to save his dog from some rare canine disease that makes him laugh like a every time he misses a duck. It's riveting. And lastly, you have the UN, or in this movie, the AN. This part was, mostly a documentary. The AN and everything about it is so incompetent, they couldn't occupy Wall Street, nor take down some international dance-fighting villain dressed like Michael Jackson and beat it. Hell, now that I think about it, they really kind of mixed up the name for the film. Maybe this movie should have been called Beat It, because it was 1 hour and 43 minutes of cinematic. Anyway, I tried pushing up, up, down, down on my controller, yet I couldn't unlock anything good in this film.
I'd say it's pretty clear that he didn't like it. Okay. Well, guys, it's been a pleasure to sit with you and discuss Street Fighter 1994. Why, and just as we wrap this up, first of all, I guess if no one's ever seen this movie, or if you're listening, you haven't seen it, why are you listening to us talk about this? But what would be your closing argument for why this movie rules?
Because some of it it's just good. I enjoy it. Some of it is it brings you back to the nostalgia when we've watched it when we were kids. I mean, I don't know. Is it the greatest movie? It's not the greatest movie, but it is a damn good bad movie.
Hell yeah. Like Clint said, it like brings you back to a time when nostalgia and you're a kid eating Domino's pizza, watching movies like this. It's like movies like this aren't really made anymore, you know, and they're just a lot of fun. Like I like these types of films are fun.
How many movies and TV shows or series or cartoons even did you go back and rewatch now that you loved as a kid that you actually enjoyed? This one's on my list. I liked it then. I like it now. It's entertaining.
This
would be entertaining enough. My daughter, and here's like the big thing. Like a lot of times my daughter won't even watch something. It sucks. It's not interesting. It's not boring. She would watch this. She finds stuff funny in it. You know, it's humorous enough to pass the my daughter test.
I think it's humorous enough and weird enough that even if somebody didn't know what Street Fighter was or any of these characters could watch all these
if you didn't know it was a video game, you would miss the cameo that the control console for when they're going to start this big invasion attack is actually the control console from the video game in the arcade.
That's what it uses to do the landmines.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was just like, oh, hey, look at that. You probably would miss the fact. You'd be like, why is that such a cheesy control? And my daughter would miss it because she'd never seen that type. Well, I mean, I guess she's seen it because they're coming back now with the game cabinets, but still.
It's not the same.
Not at all.
It's not.
It's not the same.
But I think this is an incredible movie. It stood the test of time. And I think it's definitely worth revisiting and discussing. And I appreciate you gentlemen both for being here to do this. Guys, if you're new to the podcast, which would include everybody, since this is our first episode ever, subscribe. And, wherever you find your podcast, we're going to be, whether that's Spotify or Apple or anywhere. Make sure you subscribe so that future episodes, when they come out, you will catch them right away. And we're excited to come back and talk about another bad movie and why it rules. And as we head out, we're going to leave you with the only way I could think to end this that would be appropriate.
Game over! 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 Over!
Why is that so fun?
Is this something that you play to interrupt your wife?
All right. Thanks for listening.